In this episode, we are looking at the drawing aids. Drawing aids are basically assistants, so they make you draw faster and then more precise. And they can be found on the status bar. So there is a horizontal row of icons that we can put on and off. And if you know how to use them, it makes working or drawing with AutoCAD very easy. So let's go down to the status bar and then look at the drawing aids that we have available. First one is your drawing coordinates. So this displays the X and Y coordinates when you move your crosshair on the screen. Where the green vertical and red horizontal lines meet is where we can call the origin. So that is 0 point. And when we move across the screen, we realize the coordinates change. So the X and then the Y coordinates keep on changing. However, because we are only drawing 2D, we see that the Z coordinate remains 0. After the drawing coordinates is the model or paper space, and this tells us where exactly we are, such that when we are on the model space, we get the model displayed, and then when we go to layout 1 or layout 2, it changes from model to paper. So now let's start with the drawing aids. The first drawing aid is the grid mode, and this displays a number of horizontal and vertical lines on the drawing area, so it looks like a grid on the drawing area. We can put this on or off by just clicking on the grid mode. Now, when the grid mode is on, we get the horizontal and vertical lines. When it is off, we get a blank screen. The grid mode does not actually affect our drawing. We can draw with or without the lines. After the grid mode, we have the snap mode. So the snap mode makes your crosshair jump in fixed equal steps. So we jump from one grid to another. When we look at the grid intersections, your crosshair will just be jumping from one intersection to another. When it is off, however, your cursor can move smoothly across the drawing area. Then let's look at the dynamic input. So this is something that we've already talked about in a previous video. It puts a temporary text box right on your screen so that whatever you want to type or whatever command is running, AutoCAD can give you feedback on the screen instead of going to the command line to always look or to change commands. And as a beginner, I would always recommend that you leave the dynamic input on. Now let's look at the auto mode. So the auto mode locks your cursor to perfectly horizontal or vertical movements only, such that you cannot move your crosshair in angles, only horizontal and vertical motion. So depending on what you are doing, you can just put your auto mode on, such that when you draw vertical or horizontal lines, it becomes an aid. Then anytime you want to draw an angled line, you just put your auto mode off. Then AutoCAD allows you to move your crosshair freely across the screen. Then let's look at the polar tracking. So the polar tracking allows your cursor to move freely but then it snaps at certain angles that you select yourself, such that if I select multiples of an angle, let's say 10, anytime I move and then I meet the 10-degree angle, AutoCAD gives me a pause and a green line to show that I am at 10 degrees. When I move up and then I get to 20, 30, it keeps pausing me to show that it is snapping at those angles. I can decide to select other angle multiples such as 30, 45, and the rest. And let's look at the next two important tools, that is OSNAP and OSNAP tracking. OSNAP forces your crosshair to snap directly onto exact geometric points, such as endpoints, midpoints, centers, intersections, or any point on an existing object that you want to draw from. With the snap feature off, I try to draw a line from the edge of the rectangle that I have there. But however, when I zoom in, I realize that with my eye alone, I cannot gauge exactly where that line starts from. So what I do is that I have to put the snap features on. This helps me snap exactly to that line. So we have all these features that we can just put on, and then Snap helps us to snap directly on those features. Then no matter how much I zoom in, I realize my line is exactly where I want it to be. So I have all these features that I can put on or off to help me snap to certain points on any object. So I have there the end point, the midpoint, the center, the quadrant. So all these features I can use when I am drawing, so that if I want to draw from the end point of a line, I just go and it snaps at the end point and then I draw. If I want to draw from the midpoint of, let's say, the rectangle, I can just snap it at the midpoint and then draw. And AutoCAD makes things easy such that it tells you exactly what you are doing and then where you are. For instance, if I move along a line and then I get to the midpoint, it gives me a triangle and then it writes that I am at the midpoint. When I get to the end point or the center of a circle, AutoCAD will just snap me to the center and then also write that I am at the center of that particular circle. Another advantage or peace of mind that this gives you is that when, say, I have a circle that I want to draw from the center, I just need to touch the circle with the crosshair. Then the snap shows the center of the circle. Then I just go there, click, and then start drawing from the center. Then let's look at the line weight. The line weight controls the thickness of the lines on the screen, so that when it is on, thick lines are actually thick, and then let's say construction lines will look thin. So we'll look at this in another video where we are going to create layers and then select some particular lines to be thick lines, then other ones to be thin lines. Then on the status bar, we can also set a scale. Then the last thing that we'll look at in this video is the customization icon. That is the last icon to your right. So this is where all the status bar icons can be enabled or disabled. So in conclusion, we are going to say that the drawing aids, like we said from the beginning, are just assistants and they can be found on the status bar. Now on the OSNAP, the dynamic input and the auto mode can do about 80 to 90% of all the aids that we need. So it is better we leave them on, or especially the OSNAP, we take the particular snap options that we need.